The very world we know took an unexpected turn this year. This year has awakened me, has awakened us all, has awakened us to truths we can no longer ignore. Women all over the world are hurting. Women all over the world need to be heard. So join me as I embark on a journey that will lead me into conversations with women all over the world on issues that women of this generation face on a global scale.
مرحبا كيفك Jasmine?
مرحبا, I'm fine, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine. How's everything with you and the family?
It's going well. I'm so excited that you are able to be here with me and taking the time to being a part of this show and the series that I have going on with women around the world. I'm so excited to be able to feature Saudi and Saudi women and you especially.
Well, thank you so much. And it's my pleasure to be here, Ilham.
Yay. So before we get into the conversations that we're going to have, I want to get into a little icebreaker where I'm going to ask you just some cultural questions so that the audience can get to know Saudi Arabia through your eyes, okay?
Of course, ma'am.
So what is your favorite traditional dish?
So I have so many favorite traditional dishes, but if I'd have to pick one, it would probably be mandi.
Yeah. Mandi?
For sure. Mm-hmm.
And how do you make mandi? What does that contain?
So I know you can't eat this because it has beef. But basically mandi is like you get beef and then the beef stew. You basically cook the rice in that and then you smoke the rice.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it perfectly, but and we also eat it with the side dish of duggus, which is kind of like a spicy sauce.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna need to have I'll have the spicy sauce, and then maybe if we can find a fish or some sort of vegetable where we can use it instead as an alternative. So what is a famous Saudi saying?
So there are many, but one that comes to mind is probably جيتك يا عبد المعين تعينني ولا جيتك يا عبد المعين تنعان.
Okay. Tell me what that means, because that was beautiful, but I want to know what that means.
So it basically just says, I came to you to tell you my struggles, but when I came, I found out that you had struggles of your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically just a reminder that everyone has something going on in their life, and you might want to go to someone to vent about your problems, but that person might have a variety of problems of their own that they're dealing with, and you wouldn't ever really know about that.
Yeah, I love that, because I think with everything that's going on, especially in the world and this whole year, I think we're all dealing with our own situations and our own frustrations of our own. But because of everything, there's been so much division, there's been so much hate. And I think we're in a time where instead of, being mean to other people and not understanding other people's struggles, I think we just need to approach people and understanding that they're probably going through the same struggle that I'm going through or worse. So I love that saying. And one thing that I wanted to ask, I know that with Arabic, it's the same language, but we were talking earlier that there's different dialects, correct?
So for every country, there's a different dialect. Some of the words might actually differ, but we can actually understand each other the majority of the time, but only in specific places I can't understand. Like I can't really understand Moroccan Arabic.
Oh, wow.
It's hard for me to understand, but they can understand most Middle Eastern countries' dialects. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of like Spanish. So Spanish, we have this, it's the same language, but because of all the different dialects and countries, the accents are different. So, and sometimes the words will change. So I can understand most of any dialect or any other accents, but there are words where I have to be like, wait, what's that word? So it's very similar.
And Arabic and Spanish actually do have a lot of similar words.
Yes.
Like after you guys have a tukkar, we say sukkar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And as for pantalone, we say pantalon.
Pantalon.
We do have a lot of similar words.
Which I love, which is kind of one of the reasons why I love Arabic, because I feel that it's kind of easy for me to understand. I just don't speak it enough to be able to practice it. But I feel that I can easily pick it up. Like once I start learning words here and there, I pick it up and I can say it. But if I'm not around people that are speaking in Arabic, I'm going to forget. So you got to teach me more. Okay. What is a popular hobby or fun activity to do in Saudi Arabia?
There are a lot of things to do, but personally with this pandemic going on, something a lot of people have been doing recently is going hiking. We have some of the most beautiful cities in Saudi, with beautiful atmospheres and beautiful mountains and everything. So a lot of people have been going hiking recently. And a lot of people here actually go scuba diving because we have some of the most beautiful reefs in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, so a lot of people go scuba diving. I personally go snorkeling.
Yeah.
I've never been scuba diving, but hopefully one day.
Do you want to go? Yeah, because I love the water. I love the ocean. I'm from Puerto Rico, so you know that. I'm from an island basically. So I love anything that's water, but I have yet to go scuba diving. I've gone snorkeling, I've gone in underwater caves, but I have yet to go like scuba diving and deep water diving. But I think it's because I'm not sure how much I want to do it in the Florida waters. I think if I were to do it, I would want to do it somewhere like in a different country, maybe in Saudi, in completely different experience.
Yeah, and the Red Sea has such beautiful coral reefs, and they really do maintain them over here. Mm-hmm. So when you go down and you explore and you see the sea, you feel like you're in a whole different world.
I can imagine.
Yeah, like all the weight of the world is away from your shoulders. Like it's a beautiful experience.
I love that. I can imagine. And so, what is your favorite city in Saudi Arabia and why?
I don't even have to think about this, honestly. My favorite city is Jeddah, just because I was raised here, and we're by the coast. So I've always been the type that loved the beach. I love the sea. So I could never ever live away from that. So my favorite city is Jeddah. I was raised here, so I love it.
And the capital, how do you say the capital's name?
The capital, Riyadh.
Riyadh. I have to practice so much. Okay. Is that more, are the airports in both Jeddah and Riyadh, or are there airports all throughout Saudi Arabia? Because it's a pretty big country, right? So there's different.
So there are airports in most of the cities, despite Mecca, because Mecca is the holy city, and not only that, Mecca is a 40-minute drive from Jeddah.
Oh, okay. So there is, yeah.
Yeah, it would be conventional for an airport to be there, but on the other hand, it's a 40-minute drive, so it's not much of a hassle.
So if I wanted to come visit you, I would have to fly to Jeddah, and then we would take a flight to go to the capital?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. We'll do that. And what is your favorite part about being a Saudi Arabia woman, and why?
I'm Syrian, half Saudi. So I come from a Saudi mother and a Syrian father. But I was raised here for the majority of my life. But my favorite part of living here and being a part of this culture is the people and the traditions and the culture and just the country itself. It's so beautiful. It's a place, regardless of your nationality, when you're here, you're going to feel like it's home. And I'm sure I don't only speak for myself. I speak through my experiences and the experiences of my friends and family who are from abroad.
Yeah. And that's beautiful. And I'm so excited about the conversations we're going to have. But before we get into that, we're going to watch a little video and we'll dive right in.
This is the cheese. It's already covered.
Pizza Wow is the new normal here now. A business started by a female Saudi entrepreneur. No male permission required. We're here for an Italian-inspired meal.
I hope you will like it. And I did shawarma pizza because here all the Saudi people like the shawarma. So I did the shawarma pizza.
But with an Arabic flavour to it. A slice of the modern image this kingdom is trying to project. That's making life for women like Sabah Al-Isa a whole lot easier.
Before it was hard, but during this year, everything is easy. We have like one only place to go for it. Before we visit 26 places to establish any company. And all the government issues are now easy. So it's established business now is piece of cake.
So as you can see, Saudi Arabia, the new Saudi Arabian kingdom, has recently enacted so many new reforms toward improving female empowerment and gender equality. And so we've been talking about it recently, and you've kind of been telling me how all these great things that are going on and have been going on for so long. But because of the media, I feel that a lot of people have had this negative light on how Saudi Arabian women are treated in the country. And so I desperately wanted to have you on the show, more because I just know you and we're friends, and because you're a millennial and you're actually living in Saudi Arabia. So I feel like being able to listen to your experience, being able to listen to your story, your upbringing, how it is really, we're getting it firsthand from you. So I feel that it's going to be just great for people to be able to understand the reality and the truth of what it's really like for a Saudi woman in this country. And so, go ahead.
I feel like the changes have been occurring for quite a while. I'm saying like, yes, in recent years, a lot has happened. A lot's been happening for quite a while though, you know, but mass media doesn't really enlighten people of what's happened in the past. And sadly, it's not even enlightening people of what's happening right now, because every time I come back and I see what's like how it is over here, like it's always been this way, but in recent years, it's changed a lot. So whenever I come back and I see how the people are and how everything is, I just feel so happy, you know? I feel like I'm proud. I feel proud to be of Saudi descent.
That's beautiful. And so some of the things that I did want to highlight when I was doing my research and kind of looking up what are the actual reforms and what are the actual measures that the kingdom is taking to move forward in the gender equality, I came across some really amazing things. And so due to the new reforms that have obviously taken place, a lot of Saudi Arabian women have been able to hold new managerial positions, and it has increased tremendously in the past decade. And actually the World Bank report, which this is something that was actually really shocking to me, the World Bank report recognized Saudi Arabia as the top reformer in women's advancements globally in the last year. And so just that right there alone was so mind-blowing for me, because people see the complete opposite. And me and you were talking also, and you did tell me that Saudi Arabia is actually a newer country, right?
So the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia itself was founded in 1932. So when you think about it, it's less than a century old. So the progressions and the developments they've made in less than 100 years is amazing. It's honestly amazing for what they've created as a nation in less than 100 years. And a lot of people turn a blind eye to that, you know? They forget that we're only, 91 years old? Not even.
And I think the thing with a lot of countries is that, this is just strictly my opinion, every country has started somewhere. And every country started with very, very old traditions that we would look at today and be like, I don't know how that was allowed or they were able to do that. And that's in the US, that's in European countries, that's in African countries, that's everywhere in the world. There has been the old ways we would look down on if we looked at it today. And so I think because Saudi Arabia is a more newer country or a more recent country that has been developing, there has been just so much transition and a lot has happened. And so I think the media and the people have only focused on maybe like the old ways and how they started kind of like trying to do things. And now they're not focusing on the new reforms and the new things that are coming up.
Sadly, I feel like mass media tends to portray it in a bad way. But in reality, I personally feel like there's a lot of there's good that they don't speak about. Like, I always tell you this, I'm sure you're going to agree. I always tell you this. Mass media makes it seem as though women here are oppressed. But in reality, through personal experience and through living here, I feel like there's a great deal of respect towards women.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell you this, whenever I come back, I feel like there's a great deal of respect towards women, towards our traditions, towards mothers, towards families, you know? And I love that. I love how as a nation we're progressing, but we also still tend to hold on to our traditions and culture. And I feel like that's vital. I feel that's very important.
And I believe that's so beautiful because there are so many countries, and US included, there are so many countries that have yet to lack respect for women and respect for families and respect for mothers in the workplace, especially. So I feel that here we're in a place where obviously women want to show that they're stronger and more independent, that they don't need men. I feel like we're kind of going into that generation and way of thinking a little bit more, but the sense of respect towards mothers and women have decreased. And I think more the respect lies more in, I feel, Arabic cultures, Spanish cultures, because we're very family oriented. And so I think because of that, we still hold great value towards mothers, sisters, and women. So I love that.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that should continue to happen around the world, regardless of culture. And another thing I love about Saudi, speaking about respect, a lot of people portray Saudi in a way as though a humanity crisis is occurring here. But in my opinion, and not only my opinion, through my eyes and through my experiences of Saudi, it's such a false pretense.
Yeah, it is.
We're going through a global pandemic right now. And I always tell you this. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's upsetting that mass media doesn't give enough coverage. But for example, in Saudi Arabia, I told you this. If someone thinks they have corona, if they're undocumented, if they're a resident, or if they're a Saudi citizen, they all have the right to take free tests to check if they have the coronavirus. While we were talking about how in the US, prices are crazy for you to get a corona test. You know?
And they won't give it to you. If they look at you and think that you haven't been exposed or there's no reason for you to be there, they'll literally tell you to go away and quarantine if you think you've been exposed.
Yeah. But the thing is, a lot of people turn a blind eye to this, you know. Yeah. Media does not cover these sorts of things that Saudi Arabia as a nation does. Mm-hmm. So I find that frustrating. And another thing is, not only are they tested freely, everyone who has the coronavirus, despite if they're illegally in the country, if they're just a resident or if they're a Saudi national, they're treated freely, you know, without a cost. Mm-hmm. So not many nations did that, you know, so I really applaud them for doing this. And sadly, like I said before, mass media doesn't cover this sort of thing about Saudi Arabia. They only tend to cover the negative aspect of it.
And to tell you more, I was actually, because in my research, every country that I've been interviewing, I look up YouTube videos on the topics that I'm discussing. And just in my research of trying to find more media coverage on the reforms that Saudi Arabia has been doing, there aren't any. And the ones that are the media coverages that are talking about it, they're talking about it in a negative light, kind of like, oh yeah, this is what's happening, but it's not really taking place. And so,
and the sad thing about that, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but the sad thing about that is the people writing those articles and giving their opinions, how many of them actually came to Saudi Arabia and experienced Saudi Arabia and saw these reforms for themselves?
Yeah.
The vast majority of them are speaking from a different country without actually enduring Saudi Arabia or experiencing it.
And most of the ones that I saw were media outlets or media stations from London, from Europe, from other countries that are not in Saudi Arabia. So it was just interesting to see that the ones that were talking about it and were bashing it a little bit have no idea and aren't there to actually experience it or even ask locals how it is. So
how many people did you interview that lived in Saudi Arabia that could speak for themselves through personal experiences?
Exactly.
Like, as a woman who comes from Saudi descent, I can 100% say that I see these reforms on a daily basis. You know? And sadly, even though these reforms have been occurring as of recently, Saudi Arabia has been great from before. But like I say, mass media unfortunately doesn't cover that.
And I love that we're having this conversation, because with women around the world in the series that I've been doing, most of the conversations that I've been having with the women from these countries have been to highlight a specific issue or, something where people need to know about in order to be able to help, reach out, do whatever they can to help in organizations that's helping that cause or that issue that's going on within the country. But to me, when we were talking about, Saudi Arabia and kind of coming up with things to talk about for this show, I was like, people aren't talking about the reforms. And I feel that this needs to be brought up to it needs to be brought to the light, and it needs to be brought to the media. And I love that you are in Saudi Arabia right now, even though before we met here in Orlando because you were doing school, right? And tell us what you're studying and what you were studying here.
So I'm an actuarial science major. Yeah, I've been studying that for 2 years now. So I'm only recently entering the major and starting to know what actuary actually is. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I like it.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm in the US, I actually really miss home. Like, I feel homesick. I'm like, I want to be back. Yeah.
That's funny.
It's beautiful, but Saudi just holds a place in my heart.
I can imagine. Yeah, that's like me in Puerto Rico. I have my family here with me, like my parents and my brothers, but most of my aunts and uncles and my grandma, everybody is in Puerto Rico. So I'm here, but my heart is always there because it's home, it's my family, and it's a different feeling. So I know what you mean.
It truly is. And we also always talk about this. I'm a Muslim, and whenever I'm in the US, you don't really hear the church bells ringing a lot personally through personal experience, and we don't hear the adhan.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm home or whenever I'm in the US, the thing I miss most is just hearing the call to prayer, the adhan. And the thing is, it's something so beautiful because regardless of your nationality, your race, your ethnicity, your gender, it's something that brings a lot of people together. So that's what I love. Even my friends that came and lived here and experienced Saudi Arabia, who aren't Muslims, used to tell me, like, despite our religion, we miss the call to prayer. It's just something so soothing to hear. So I know that whenever you're in a certain place and you're missing home, you miss those small things.
Yeah, I love that. And I think when you have an understanding of we have different beliefs and we have different upbringings, but when you have understanding that we all come from the same God, that it kind of, when you hear a call to prayer and I've heard the call to prayer before when I was traveling through Dubai, it's amazing because even though we believe, different things because of our culture and language, it to us, it's still the same God, and we're all coming together to be able to just unite for this one moment and this one important thing. So I love that.
Yeah. And I like how, just as you said, despite of your culture, your traditions, your ethnicity, your gender, it's something that brings a whole group of people together.
Sure.
Beautiful.
And so one of the things that I did want to highlight when we were talking about the reforms that Saudi Arabia has implemented, I kind of wanted to highlight a little bit of the ones that I did find on the World Bank Report website. So they have obviously advanced and implemented all these historic reforms to advance in women's economic participation. And some of these decrees actually remove things such as restrictions on women's ability to leave the house and equalized women's rights to choose a place where they would want to reside and live. They also remove discrimination based on gender in employment, dismissal of pregnant women, and discrimination based on gender in accessing to credit. And so the decrees also introduced the pension equality by equalizing the retirement ages for men and women and mandating pension credits for maternity leave. And that's amazing because we're still fighting for half of those things here in the US. So to be able to see that Saudi Arabia has already gotten a step ahead of us in some of these things, it's amazing. So I love that, we can have these conversations and bring to light these amazing transitions that are going on. And so another thing that I did see was that obviously over 5.5 million Saudi women over the ages of 21 have already been benefiting from these reforms. And obviously they've been reaping the benefits of they've been reaping the benefit. Cut this out, Josh. I'm going to say it again. And 5.5 million Saudi women over 21 years of age are already benefiting from these reforms and will continue to reap benefits for the generations to come. And I love that when I read that, I immediately thought of you because you're a millennial that's living in the midst of all of these reforms happening. So you can definitely be able to talk and highlight on some of these things that are going on.
As you know, I've been modeling recently, and it's not a permanent job. It's something that I'm doing for fun, and it's something I enjoy doing. But I'm encountering a lot of different people, and especially women. And whenever I meet these women who, as we said, with the reforms, are starting their own businesses, are creating such amazing ideas, I always think like I'm proud to see these things happening in front of me. I'm proud that I'm gonna hopefully grow, when God's will, grow old one day and be able to say like I saw all this happening. I feel like it's been happening for quite a while, but only recently that people started mentioning it, and it's only been that mass media hasn't really spoken or chosen to enlighten people from outside of Saudi Arabia of what's been happening, and that's really upsetting to me.
Yeah.
But whenever I through my work, whenever I encounter people, whenever I see what's happening, whenever I see what they're doing, I feel so proud. I feel like I applaud every woman with what they're doing in Saudi right now, and the businesses they're starting and the way they're contributing to the economy. It's amazing.
I love that. And one of the things that we did talk about earlier was, a lot of people tend to think of Saudi Arabia and the women in, the black abayas. And we were talking how that's not even, to you, that's rare to see now.
It's like, as I said, the thing is, whenever you search Saudi Arabia on Google or whatever, you will always see people dressed in the black attire, but it doesn't necessarily have to be black, like it can be any color. And not only that, in Saudi, we have the freedom to dress the way we want, modestly. We don't need to wear the abaya.
Yeah.
I like putting emphasis on that. I like reminding people of that,
I love that.
Yeah. And the thing is, I feel like just like it's a woman's choice to dress however she chooses to dress, it also should apply to the way she wants to dress when it comes to her dressing conservatively or modestly, because a lot of people tend to judge when they feel like something is not a norm to them. They feel like this is not normal to them. They'll say, oh, she's oppressed or she's that. But in reality, it's her decision to wear that. It's her decision to do this. And just because it's something that you wouldn't necessarily wear or you're not necessarily used to, it does not mean that
Exactly.
it's her being oppressed. It's her natural choice. And that's through personal experience.
Exactly. And that's so important to highlight because, like I said, a lot of people think that you're forced to wear these things and you have these rules and this is how you have to be. But in reality, you don't have to wear what anybody's telling you to wear. You choose to be respectful. You choose to be modest. You choose to wear what you want to wear to reflect who you are as a woman. And so, and we were talking earlier offline how, you know, we've all kind of had at least transitions. I think for me, here living in the US is so different because people just don't care what they wear. And so when you're in high school and you're younger, you try to wear what you think it's cool and what's going to make you popular and what's going to make you obviously get all the likes on Instagram. But there comes a point in your life where as a woman, you have to decide who you want to be. Who do I want to reflect myself to be? Do I want, you know, people to look at me and just see, you know, my body and not look at what I'm actually contributing to society? So all of these things, obviously, when you get to a point in your life where you take into account, you take into consideration is what women are doing. And I feel that, I love that in places like Saudi Arabia, not just in Saudi Arabia, there's so many countries in the Middle East that I feel reflect that principle and that same moral. And I love that. I love it about that.
And just like I said earlier, as women have the right to dress freely when it comes to dressing the way they want, that should also apply to if they want to dress modestly.
Exactly.
And just because something is not normal to you doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong, or it doesn't necessarily mean that that person is being oppressed. It just means that they are choosing to dress the way they want to dress. And I really like putting emphasis on that and reminding people of that.
Yeah, I love that. And so one of the things that I did want to highlight is that when you did live in the US, you experienced, and you mentioned that you experienced a lot of racism and a lot of people that were not nice.
The thing is, we're going to talk about this again, but like we said, mass media portrays Saudi in a certain way. So whenever anyone saw me and they'd ask me, where are you from? And I'd be like, I'm Syrian, half Saudi. I actually got like, oh, I've never seen a Saudi or Syrian person just like this or look like this or talk like this, you know? So mass media portrays us in a certain way that whenever we encounter or meet or associate with people outside, they have this idea of how we are, but in reality we're not this way, you know. Like a lot of the people always tell me like, we're shocked, we didn't know. Like I'm sure you didn't know because you've never been here, and media portrays us in a different way as to how we actually are.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like I once had someone like point to me up and down and say, I've never seen a Saudi woman dressed like this. And then I was dressed really modestly, you know, but I just wasn't wearing an abaya. And I was like, okay, you know, like what more can I say? And then I just said, like, all I could say was, yeah, because the way you dress reflects the way you dress doesn't necessarily have to be something you see in mass media. It doesn't have to be something you see on the news. As long as I'm dressed in a way that's modest, as long as I'm dressed the way I want to dress, it doesn't mean that that's something you're used to, you know? And I had to explain to them. And I can't really say they understood that concept, but I really hope that I could explain that to them, or I played a role in teaching them something.
And I really wanted you to obviously give that little story because it mind blows me that people think it's okay to talk to other people like that first. Like in the first place, whatever you have in your mind, that's fine, that's cool. But the fact that you think it's okay to approach a person and point them out like that and talk to them like that is what's crazy to me. And so
the thing is that frustrates me is they have the impression that people here are closed-minded, but for you to have that mentality and to point at someone that way and have that idea means that you're the closed-minded one. You're the one who hasn't been experiencing other cultures or open to other nationalities or traditions. So you have this mentality or you have this intake about a certain group of people, you know? So that's my input.
And that's the problem with a lot of people that don't leave their countries. People that don't leave their countries, people that aren't culturally engulfed in culture and haven't experienced other cultures and other religions and other traditions, they don't understand that there's other people that are different to you. And that is okay. We live in a world with different countries. Not everybody's going to be, wearing the same hillbilly clothes and singing, the same Taylor, what is it, the Katy Perry songs or whatever it is. I was going to say Miley Cyrus, but I don't know. I went to Katy Perry. That's where I'm at.
One of the things I pride myself of being raised in Saudi Arabia is the amount of diversity we have here. Like, I can happily say I had the privilege of meeting people from all around the world and learning their culture and their traditions and what was normal to them. And especially with Hajj and Ramadan are both Islamic. They're both things Muslims celebrate, and we enjoy. Ramadan is when we take a whole month to fast, and Hajj is when we perform pilgrimage, So for this, Islam, the amount of people who are Muslim come from all different nationalities. Yeah. So during these times of year, you find people from all around the world coming. So that's one of the things I love about Saudi is the fact that they bring together a group of people who believe in the same God. Yeah. From all around the world, so you get to enjoy these people, experience them, learn about their experiences, learn about their traditions, their culture, their people, where they're from, and you can't really say that always. You can't say that I had the pleasure of meeting people from this place or that place. And in Saudi, you meet all these different people. It's a melting pot. It truly is a melting pot.
And it's beautiful. I was talking to Rachel from Belgium a couple of interviews back, and we were talking about how when I went to Belgium, I experienced, when you go to Belgium, anybody, you experience so much culture and so much diversity and so many different people that live there, because Belgium is it's like a very multicultural country. And so you experience French, the Germans, and people from the Flemish side. So there's so many, and even people from Spain that come. So you experience so many different cultures and everybody respects each other in a way. So I love that. And I love that, you can go to Saudi Arabia and experience that as well. I think here in the US, we were getting to a place where we were all respecting each other. And then in recent years, it's when everybody, I feel, has definitely, stopped respecting other people and stopped respecting other cultures and traditions. And, if you're not American here, or if you're not, if you don't look white, then, you're going to have some sort of racism come at you.
When I was in the US, I actually saw a lot of the vast majority of the people I encountered were so friendly, you're so friendly. Everyone there was so nice. But a lot of the people just had a misinterpretation of how Saudi was. So when they met me and they knew where I came from and my origins and where I was raised, they were shocked. But you can't really blame them. But thankfully, the majority of the people I enjoyed and I met and I encountered were so friendly and so nice in the US. Yeah. They just didn't have much experience with people from Saudi, and with the coverage mass media gives, they didn't really know what to think, or they were shocked.
Yeah. No, I was on a call with a work client, and we were talking, and he's from here, from the US, and we were talking, and at one point he's like, "Where are you from?" you don't sound like you have an accent, but I can kind of hear it. And I was like, yeah, my family's like, I'm originally from Puerto Rico. That's where I was born, and my family's from there. He's like, oh, how's everybody doing from Hurricane Maria? Are you guys still like in the waters? And then he said, oh, how did you feel about Trump throwing toilet papers at you when you were there? Like, just saying the most ridiculous things. And I was just like, why do you think this is okay? Like, like, I don't understand what thoughts are processing through your mind right now that you think it's okay for you to say that to me. And I was just sitting there like, just in shock that this guy was saying that to me. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm like, okay, yeah. So continuing on to the conversation we were having, because I was like, if I engage in this, I might get fired for what I'm going to say to this guy.
That's so funny. If I engage in this, I might get fired. Oh God.
So many times where that happens, where I'm like, because I have a very strong character and very strong-willed. So
and I feel you have I feel like you're so accepting to different cultures, and you would never really have this intake or approach to anyone, so I feel like when you encountered this, you were just like in utter shock, like what?
But it is what it is.
Like, your friend group is so diverse, so you wouldn't really be used to like having this conception of anyone. So for someone to have this conception of you, or to even think it out loud and tell you it, that's just messed up.
Well, the thing is with me, like you said, I do have a very diverse group of friends. I like to keep it that way. When I was in high school, I was never the type of girl to be in like a group or a clique or with like a certain group of girls. I always went from group to group and clique to clique in high school, because I've just never been the type of person to just only like one type of person or personality or people. And so I think my friends and the diversity reflect who I am. And so when I experience things like that, I know that it's there. I'm aware, because I hear it from other friends and stories that I hear of other people experiencing this type of these racism and comments. But when it happens to me, it's very shocking, because a lot of times people think that I'm American or white. So when they hear that I'm from somewhere else, they're like, oh, and then there's like this comment that comes up, and I'm like, so, yeah. But I think we just need to get to a place and just kind of wrapping the conversation up. And I'm so happy that you were able to do this with me. And I feel this conversation has been so helpful. But I think we need to get to a place, not just in the United States, not just in Saudi, everywhere in the world, we need to get to a place where we try to understand more than what we see. I think 2020 has definitely been the year where we have been exposed to so many things that are going on, and just enlightened with so many things that have been going on, but we just didn't know because the media has been covering it all up. We don't know. And so I think we need to move forward, understanding that not everything is as it seems. You may think that things are going this way, and there's a negative light projected on this country, but in reality, the complete opposite is happening. And for the US, a lot of people in other countries think that this country is, so put together and we have everything, but in reality, we're so messed up, and there's so many things that are going on. And that story just goes for every country. Nothing is as it seems, and we just need to treat everybody with the same amount of respect that you would like to be treated as well.
And it's like globally, everyone endured this pandemic, It's not very common that we can say us as human beings, us as citizens of the world, have endured something similar to everyone else. Everyone went through this pandemic. Everyone at one point in time went through lockdown. Everyone at one point in time was put in their homes where they felt a little down or depressed because of staying in that home environment. Everyone is experiencing an economic crisis. So we all endured something that's similar, and we should also realize that regardless of nationality, we all endured the same thing, and we all endure so many similar things to one another. And we should be more accepting of that and each other.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for just being so amazing and taking the time for doing this. I love you so much, and I can't wait to be able to go to Saudi and be with you over there.
So honestly, and we always talk about this. We always plan it, and then a global pandemic happens.
And then a global pandemic happens. So, yep, that's where we're at. But
yeah.
thank you so much. We'll stay in touch and just keep being amazing. And I wish you all the luck and best in the world.
Thank you so much, love. Thank you so much for having me, and it's such a pleasure. And I love talking to you.
You too. Bye, my love.
Bye.